No, I think
a strong sentiment.
It's
a strong sentiment.
It's a strong sentiment. We've hit the nail on the head, Rajiv. This is the thought. But I'll tell you one thing about the Prime Minister. Abhishek, you know this well. The Prime Minister has been planning this budget non-politically. Now the question will be, does the election result have an impact on it?
Yeah.
I look at the statements of the Prime Minister in February. In February, they were very sure they are coming back to power. They have. But they did not go all out in February just for the polls. They went strategic with their planning with the long-term benefits in mind. And Prime Minister said then, I am planning new schemes for the last 1.5 years to eliminate poverty. I am making this roadmap. I have taken suggestions from 15 lakh people. I'm working on it. I have never issued a press note. And, basically what I want to look at, Rajiv, is whether the Prime Minister continues to be non-political in his approach. Though I don't think, if he's working with the Viksit Bharat project in mind, then he perhaps will look at it that way. He'll say, I'm thinking of future generations. But this time the politician and the Prime Minister and the BJP will also sort of counterweigh that and force them to listen to people like Kishore.
I somehow have always felt that both dovetail into each other. I mean,
they do.
Basically, when we talk about a Viksit Bharat and when we have a roadmap, things fall in place as we move along. For example, infrastructure development is not an overnight job.
Yeah.
It's a long-term job. It cuts down your this thing from 15-16% to about 9-10%. Your cost of taking goods, etc.
Yeah.
Now, all those things make your economy competitive, number one. Number two, when you talk about job creation is only going to happen if there is inclusive growth which happens all across the country. And that will only happen if you have the right kind of infrastructure and everything happening.
Yeah.
So I think all of that falls in place one after the other. And I somehow have a feeling that there is nothing called a populist budget. I mean, there should not be something which is called a populist budget.
You have to have prudence. You have to have prudence,
prudence
not
has to be
populism.
there. There has to be a long-term plan. Within that long-term plan, everything needs to fit in.
The government certainly has a much more bigger elbow room right now with the RBI giving the kind of surplus that it has. Obviously, the focus will be whether at all there will be tax cuts or not. Yeah. The fact that they have a surplus of $25 billion is huge.
Yeah. I want to go to Madhusudan Kela also right now. We have a great panel, ladies and gentlemen. We have the markets opening in some time. Madhusudan, Arnab here. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, good morning. Hi.
So
good morning,
if you've been watching budget cover, these are one of the most eminent voices on any budget day. Ajay Bagga, Madhusudan Kela, Rajiv, Kishore, all great voices. Madhusudan, Ajay and we have all been talking. What are you looking forward in this budget? You are fantastic with the macro view. I like the way you put your perspective between business, corporate investment and the larger national picture. So how do you view things this time?
So Arnav, I've been in the market for more than 30 years now, and I've been actively investing. I think the financial position and the fiscal position of the government in my career has never been better than what it is today. Basically, from all fronts, India seems to be really firing. We have a stable inflation, we have very high growth rate, we have a very good and burgeoning stock markets, and a lot of companies are able to raise money and helping in capital formation. We have fantastic retail participation and fiscal elbow room for the government to do whatever they need to do for the deprived portion of the societies, may it be farmer, may it be job creation. So I think we are in a fantastic time for this budget. Even though some section of the market is concerned about, there could be some tinkering on long-term capital gains, I am not in that camp. I don't think, why will the government like to spoil if everything is going well, and for what reason?
Yeah.
So I think we are in a good time, and this budget should just continue the story of India growth, which is happening for now 4-5 years consistently.
So you're not looking like, I mean, someone like you or Ajay would not be looking at any concessions or things like that. Kishore, you raised your hand and comment to what Madhusudan said.
I have a point, Arnab. Let me tell you to the all elite panelists, Madhusudanji, you have made a lot of money for me and many people. Thank you. But let me tell you one important thing. Middle class crisis is bigger than midlife crisis. Because midlife crisis is only for a small time. Middle class crisis is for lifetime. Please understand this problem. Arnab, you have raised a valid point. The nation wants to know morning, afternoon and night. What is the problem? How are you going to address this middle class crisis? मैं जिंदगी भर middle class में रह जाऊं? When you had the break, my cook said, Narendra Modi ji said, हवाई चप्पल वाले भी हवाई जहाज में जाएंगे. वो बोल रहे हैं ना मैं हवाई जहाज में जा पा रहा हूँ ना हवाई चप्पल.
No, what Madhusudan is saying. No. Why, Kishore, I don't know how much money Madhusudan has made for you. That is between you and Madhusudan. May he continue to make you rich. I can certainly say, Madhusudan, that Kishore is not middle class, but nevertheless, especially after the money that you have made for him. But the question is, what Madhusudan is saying is that my question was what? My question was, what are the markets looking for? He said the government is doing great. Basically, Ajay, what Madhusudan is saying is the government needs to continue to do more, which means they must focus on capex, they must focus on indigenization, they must focus on keeping the fiscal deficit. I guess, focus a little bit on the rural sector so that no sector goes under encouraged, and just keep things going. I mean, basically, Ajay, Madhusudan is saying, can we just leave the, sorry, I'm over-interpreting you. I see your hand go. What you're saying is, we had a lot of stress during the election. BJP has come back with lesser numbers. Can you just go back to the way things were 6 months back, right, Madhusudan? Is that the sense I'm getting from you? Or But there must be some worry areas. There's a coalition government. Things are not the same, Madhusudan. Things are not the same, won't be the same.
Arnav, you interpreted it right. Let me respond to the gentleman. See, there is no magic wand by which you can make 140 crore people rich overnight, or you can take them above the middle class line. I think what the government has done in the last 10 years is really commendable. If they just continue to do this good work, which is really focused on capital expenditure and the growing the economy at 6.5%, 7%, keeping employment into their purview, I think a lot of people have progressed in last 10 years, and many more people will progress. The only way to really be a good socialist in India is to focus on capitalism. Because unless you create capital in this country, you can't solve problems of billions of people.
Yeah, so that's the point. Ajay, can I get you back? We saw the market open right now. How do you see the market open? What do you expect today's trends to be? He mentioned employment, capital expenditure. I want to focus next 5 minutes purely on markets with you. Ajay?
No, markets have done very well. I think the one factor, what Madhu also mentioned, is if there is any tinkering on the capital gains tax, that could
But he doesn't expect it, he also said.
I also don't.
Yeah. But that is a fear at the back, because it was done for the debt part of the market. So for the debt mutual funds, that was brought in. And now if you look at it, Arnab, it's a very complex area of capital gains tax on different asset classes. So that remains a fear. We'll have to see. The second part, what the market will look at, one number, the fiscal deficit number. Okay, Ajay, we got the FM.
Yeah, please continue. Please continue.
Okay. So, the fiscal deficit number, they've got a very big boost from the RBI. Instead of 80,000 crores, they gave them 2.1 lakh crores. There's 1.7 lakh crore which has come in cash from the last year unspent. And you have very strong tax collections as far as the first quarter goes. So the economy is doing very well, much better than what was even forecast in the economic survey yesterday. Last year's economic survey had talked about 6.5 to 7. We came at 8.2% growth for the economy after inflation. And again this year, we will probably do 7 to 7.5.
Yeah, that's viewers. I go back to Madhusudan Kela with that. Ajay Baga commenting, Madhusudan on screen, and we have viewers Nirmala Sitharaman, who it's 11 minutes past 9, and she will be in the next 5 minutes. That's her with her team and the Bahikata, and she will be with her team going to the Rashtrapati Bhavan. The appointment is at 9:30 as usual, and after meeting the President, she will proceed to Parliament. All happening very, very quickly. Madhusudan, I'm coming back to you because we have limited time with you. What I want you to elaborate on one thing. From what I understand you are saying is that there is fiscal room available this time. There's a considerable amount of fiscal room that the government has, and I think what continuity is what the market is looking at. They're looking for a sort of what I would call, Madhusudan, a balanced approach. That's basically all the stakeholders are taken care of. However, there's always that one thing that causes some excitement, some positive mood. What would that be, Madhusudan? There's always balance, continuity is good, but there was maybe, something which makes the headline. Also, I think I'm not sure if it's the markets that the Prime Minister wants to cater to, but I'm sure there's some element of newsiness he would want in the budget this time, not just another boring budget.
Yeah, but Arnav, I can give you a very complicated answer, but that is not my nature. I would say what is market looking at is only the continuity. Just continue to do the good work, focus on capital expenditure, focus on infrastructure, making sure that the subsidy burden is reduced, making sure that the wasteful expenditure is reduced. This is the first time in the history now, in 32 years, that the government borrowing actually will be lower than last year.
Yeah.
I repeat again, this is the first time in the history that the government borrowing may be lower than what it was last year. Right? So that is the continuity which we want. And I want to highlight one more point, Varna, with data. Then who is the biggest beneficiary of this bull run? The government itself. The market capitalization of all the PSU companies put together was only 13 lakh crores in 2020. The government share was 8.5 lakh crores. Today the market capitalization of all the public sector companies put together is 80 lakh crores, and the government share is 55 lakh crores. So the government not only has the fiscal room in terms of RBI dividend or the little bit of tax buoyancy, they have enormous balance sheet room wherein they can divest 2-3% of these public sector companies, and they can do as much good as they want to do for the poor. And that is what my point is, that the stock market buoyancy is not only good for individuals, but it is the best thing which has happened for the government of India, which has made the balance sheet of government of India very, very strong.
No, I am totally with you on that, but so viewers, the takeaway from that, never been as good. Continued growth in capital expenditure is what he's saying. Maybe some targeted increase in revenue expenditure to support all the core schemes. But on taxes, what would you expect? A broadly stable tax structure is what the market would look at. Markets keep looking at fiscal discipline. How important is that number?
The market is not even asking for reduction in taxation. Whatever needs to be done, market is not even asking for reduction in taxation. Whatever needs to be done has been done. Just continue the good work. That is what the market wants.
Markets, and that's great for the markets because...
Not even the STT? Not even the securities transaction tax?
You can ask him.
Yeah, I think STT again, we don't want a reduction. We just don't want it to increase.
They just want it. See, listen to Madhu. He just
people in the stock market are now.
Tinkering.
We are paying so much taxes. We are paying STT. We are paying long term. We are paying short term taxation. We are paying dividend distribution taxation. We are paying buyback taxation. We are paying income tax. How much more tax can the government ask for from the stock market?
No. He's saying, listen. What he's saying is that everyone's got a smile there right now. Basically, what he's saying, Ajay, is, can you just let us alone? We are making money. You're making money. Be happy. don't bring in any capital gains tax. We made a lot of money, Madhusudan. Now, come on, Madhusudan. What if someone says, Sushil, what if someone says that, listen, Sensex went up 35% since budget of 23. Yeah. Nifty went up 39% since budget of 23. Yes. Right? You made a lot of money. But what did middle class didn't make so much money? So what is, there's a little bit of, tinkering.
Because, Arnav, the difference is we believed in India, someone else
you
did not
think
believe.
middle class doesn't believe in India?
You have to believe in the country to be able to make money in the stock market.
Now that's it. You've given me my debating point. Market participants are saying today, we don't want any change in long-term capital gains tax. Currently at 10% for holding shares for 1 year and 15% as short-term capital gains tax, which is less than 1 year. Madhusudan says, keep it the same. Don't break it.
Yeah.
You break the, pardon me? He's saying don't change the flow.
Yeah, because what he's also saying is that there is enough money coming into the capital
He's not wrong.
in any case.
He's not wrong, but governments can get greedy. Governments can get greedy.
So they shouldn't increase it for sure, but there's no need to reduce it. There were people who were saying that they need to reduce it.
Sushil, what do you think, Sushil? You hearing Madhusudan there? Or are you busy trading?
Hey, Arnab, I will have to concur with Madhu here. Not just because birds of the same flock, flock together. See, what he's trying emphasizing, as far as I have understood, is we can also lose money and we can make money, and that does not change the requirement for any normal business people to have a realistic and rational system of taxation. So there are too many types of taxes, as if, while the Prime Minister has been perhaps one of the first leaders worldwide to emphasize that wealth creators are going to be respected in India, but that is yet to really reflect into reality. There are too many types of taxes we pay as if we are a burden by making money. So I concur with Madhu on this point that there's too much of different varieties of taxes we need to get.
I'll ask Ajay, what do you think? You all concur that keep it the same, capital markets? Don't touch it, what's not broken?
See, Arnab, what happens in the developed markets that you get a 3-year, 5-year window, that there is policy continuity. So too much tinkering of taxes destroys sentiment. That's the big thing. Second, your foreign investor is not paying any tax. They are covered by double taxation avoidance agreement. Your retail investor pays tax. Your Madhu Kela pays tax, Sushil Kedia pays tax. So you have a very uneven or non-level playing field as it is. So business models are based on forecasts of taxes. People have made business models. If you keep on tinkering with that, then it destroys sentiment. That's the big thing. But that's the view of the 1% or the 0.1% of the 1%. The big issue is middle class needs a tax break. That has not happened from 2014.
You can give that without introducing changes in the capital markets.
Yeah, there is no connection. You have enough.
There is no connection between the two.
That is tax.
It's not
Madhu and I are saying, you have so much bulging in your pockets. You have so much money that a small giveaway can be done for the middle class without, there is no connection in the two. The capital gains is a very small portion. Your STT is 36,000 crores. This year it will go to 60,000. It's a very decent tax. It's like Atal Bihari's 2 rupees on your petrol. Now we don't even remember that the cess is there. It just gets and roads get made of that. Now, same way STT is collected at source, put in the treasury, very neat, clean, no leakage. Everybody who trades in the market pays the STT. You're making 36,000 crores. You tinker with the small capital gains, people will not book the capital gains. The markets will move off the books. You will have dabba trading happening. People will go to the local shop and start trading there instead of your markets will get destabilized.
Madhu wanted to come back on that with what you're saying. Madhu.
Yeah. Arnav, the moot point is we should not go by anyone's opinion. We should go by empirical facts. You see, the government has not tinkered in the tax, and we have the biggest buoyancy in taxes ever in the history of India. That the taxation, the tax kitty has grown by approximately 20%. So the taxation, the tax corpus doesn't grow by making sure that you charge higher taxes, but it grows only by complying to whatever stable tax regime which you have introduced. If there is a better compliance, I am sure there will be better taxation in India rather than living in this myth that you can increase taxes. You go back to the era when we had a higher capital gains, higher taxation on the corporate sector. What was the taxation amount we collected, and what are the taxation amount we are collecting today when our taxation are actually being lowered? So it is now about more compliance than about really making sure the taxation are higher. And why does the government need the money? They are in a very good situation. I don't think the government needs any more money.
Spend more.
We will anyway be
their
around
coalition government.
4.5%
Elections are coming. They need
on
to
the
win
fiscal
elections.
deficit of 2026.
More social schemes. You know the kind of stuff, Madhu, that you don't worry about. You don't have to run a coalition government. They are running a coalition government.
No, trust me, my friend, they still have enough money. They have still enough money to satisfy everyone.
Trust me, Madhu, my friend. Trust me, Madhu, you are very happy. Can you imagine, Madhu, if it was a 15-party coalition? then we would make you finance minister of a 15-party coalition. We'd like to see how you distribute the money. How much money you give, which part of the,
Anyway,
Shawan wanted to say something.
That's my view. I reserve the right to be wrong.
Shawan has a point to make.
The government keeps saying that, they've done the heavy lifting all this while. The 2 terms, the heavy lifting has already been done. Time to be
good point.
Shift.
There is a coalition government and
if there is a narrative, it is always then, why is it the corporates are not really spending? Why is it we are not boosting the consumption? See, it again goes back to the same drawing board that look here, things won't really change.
Yeah.
Government will not have the elbow room further if the corporate spending also does not really go up.
Yeah. I think Madhu has to go. Madhu is looking at the markets and his watch. We'll let him go. Madhu, by the way, thank you for joining us. Ajay, you've been great. Stay on.
Thank you so much, Arnav.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you later, maybe after the budget presentation. We are familiar friend, and right now we have the Managing Director and Founder of Equidus Capital Private Limited, Ajay Garg, with us this evening. Can I have him on air, please? Ajay, old friend, suddenly appears on screen. Sought after name, by the way. Sought after name on budget day. Pithy with his comments, a little cheeky, but people follow him because he's made some incredible investment decisions. And what I do know, Abhishek and Shawan, about Ajay is that, he's a long-term viewer of the Indian market story. And one of the reasons he's got his investments right is also because he looks at the overall picture of the Indian economy and not just from a capital markets perspective. So maybe we'll start with you, Ajay, on this one. Ajay, good morning. And it's
good morning, Arnav.
So
thanks, and that was a pretty elaborate introduction.
I know you guys. I know you. I know Ajay. I've had the privilege of knowing you all personally, and I know how practical and rational you are, and also how nationalistic you are about the India growth story. So Ajay, this time we've been talking to Madhusudan Kela, Ajay Bagga is still with us, and others. Sushil Kedia is also there. They say there's more money than the government has ever had. First of all, do you agree with that sentiment? Because there can never be enough money. And second,
no, there cannot be enough money because, I guess with a per capita tax collection of $250, $260, vis-a-vis, what you have in the case of US, which is $20,000 per capita. And aspirationally, in terms of public services, income level growth, capital expenditure requirement and all, I think the government needs to, with the discipline they have always maintained for the last 10 years, keep a very growth momentum and a fiscal consolidation, because both of them have to go hand in hand. The government has done a good, fine balancing act, but yes, the government can do with a lot more money. They also have to think through, because they're also enjoying a great capital market of looking at sources outside the tax ambit in terms of things like disinvestment. One of the idea which I also floated some time back is that why can't even railways be listed in the market and the whole railway budget be financed by the market? So I would say that there are many more avenues to provide government the money because I think there is always in a global environment where businesses have a certain pressures to maintain their numbers. Taxing them beyond a point is difficult. We have a large part of the population which has a tax situation. So there are a lot of creative ways to get government more money, and I think that's the way one has to keep thinking about.
And if the government were to be looking at where it needs to spend the money to generate the employment, and also look at its own political considerations, where would that be?
So I think, they obviously need to look at, two ways of seeing how more jobs in manufacturing can be done, because I think the government did a lot of initiatives on the PLI side. And, we have, a government like this has also sort of, if I look at the type of projections we are seeing Apple, they're talking of something like close to 70,000 crores of revenue of manufacturing production the company could do in last 4-5 years. From a single situation. So there are many such opportunities out there. And I think the continuing investments in the PLI schemes, boosting the manufacturing, also sort of, they have to work on farm income too, and whatever ways that can be done to improve the productivity there, and the situations would be very helpful and needed for the country, because I think not only the economic growth, but economic growth which has inclusive, where has income growth levels at all levels will be the agenda the government should drive towards.
Yeah. Sushil, as far as the government is concerned, they say that you have a subdued agricultural sector right now. In terms of the biggest concerns that has been raised in the economic survey is about the job creation. But they also say that this is not a job that can be done all by the government itself. You will have to have the private sector coming in right now. It's high time for them to come into this big concern that they have about job creation. Sushil.
The job creation is something that, has been a element of greater politics than greater good. And economies that make such shifts, and where, our internal accounting on the hidden employment and hidden unemployment. So this remains more a political assessment than truly, a measure of any economic progress, because our data and our employment markets are not as organized as the West, but we try to mimic that. So I don't want to delve deep on this, except that, आदमी खोजने जाओ तो मिलता नहीं है. Domestic help in Bombay is not available at 25,000, and we are screaming about unemployment. So there is a vast, complex net of opportunities, missed opportunities, untrained people, ill-trained people, and exceptionally large capacity utilization, growth in the economy. So talking about employment for Indian situation currently, vis-a-vis the frameworks with which we talk about them in the West, is absolutely inane.
Okay, viewers, I'll take a break at this point. Ajay Garg has given us an overall perspective. Sushil Kedia followed up with that. Ajay, we would trouble you once again on the other side of the break, so we'll reconnect in a bit. Viewers, short advertising break. This is the Budget 2024 pre-budget analysis with our expert panels across the country on Republic. See you again.